Hi, Miss Gail.
Good evening, and welcome to another family time. Always an absolute pleasure to be with you another wonderful Monday afternoon. And before I tell you who I am, I want to say good evening to everyone. Happy New Year for those of you who are joining us for the first time for this year. You've missed quite a bit already. And so I welcome you and forward to hearing from you today. We're going to have an amazing program with our very special guest. And of course, I am O'Neill Campbell. So blessings and greetings in this 2022. So welcome to everyone, including those on Facebook, YouTube Live, on the Love 101 Facebook page and YouTube channel. Now, as you know, family time is about your issues and your relationships, your at home family, your community family, and your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. That's great stuff. So stay with us and please join in every way you can on all our platforms. At the beginning of the year, we hear and use phrases or versions of phrases like these: a new year, a new you, resolutions, starting fresh, not taking baggage from the old year into the new, etc., etc. But even with the best of intentions, how successful are we at it? How serious are we about doing it? Well, let's talk about that today. And while we do that, let's also do some confessing. Tell us, what kind of baggage are you holding on to? And what keeps you from letting it go? Some hard hitting questions there. As you see the title for those who are seeing on our channel, Empty Your Freezer. WhatsApp your texts and voice notes, please no longer than 30 seconds to 876-997-3125, or call the studio lines 968-8327, 968-8328, 876 of course, to participate. That, what kind of baggage are you holding on to? And what keeps you from letting go? That's the question for today, and I'm looking forward to your responses. So throughout the program, we'll share. And remember, you can watch us live on Love 101's Facebook and YouTube. We'll be right back with our very special guest today, Tanya Powell Edwards. Don't go anywhere. We'll go to our first break.
Inspirational stories and island flavored music will come your way this Testimony Tuesday inside Alive 1 to 5, January 18th. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside the evidence. We hear from Denisha Spencer, who will join us to share her testimony of deliverance from demon possession. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit with guidance counselor and pastor at the Church of God in Jamaica, Keturah Hazel Cross. All this and more will come your way. That Alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with me, Sarah and the Chirpy One, on the family station, ranking number 4 on the extensive local radio landscape and number 1 in gospel, Love 101.
Life comes at you fast and it can hit hard. Apply for the Credit Union Prepaid MasterCard from CNWJ with chip and PIN protection. Need a card with a personal line of credit for emergencies? We have that. Need a card you can use to shop online for that must-have item? We have that. The community and workers of Jamaica Prepaid MasterCard. All the convenience of a MasterCard. Discover the benefits of belonging.
Planning to sit the main June CXC exams privately? Register with Overseas Examinations Commission before the late registration deadline, Friday, January 21. Visit our Kingston office or Montego Bay office to complete your application form, or send an email to help@overseasexams.org.jm. Follow our social media pages at Overseas Exams for more details. Remember, if you plan to sit the May-June CXC exams privately, the late registration deadline is January 21.
Digicel, the winner circle for the second year running. This time working away with the award for Jamaica's fastest mobile network, best mobile coverage and fastest home fiber internet. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Digicel.
Didn't catch that? It's just the truth. Digicel is the fastest LTE and home fiber internet in Jamaica, giving coverage and speeds you can rely on over and over again. Digicel, better together.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101. And welcome to our special guest, very special guest, of course, Tanya Powell Edwards. Tanya holds a bachelor's, a BA, or Bachelor of Arts in Guidance and Counseling, and is a candidate for a Master's in Counseling and Consulting Psychology. So she's not going to be a candidate soon, she's going to be holding that in short order. She has additional experience in the areas of training and brings all her professional experience and knowledge into skills like life coaching. All right. Tanya is a change agent, I love that, and uses all her life experiences, education, training to help others change their lives to a more meaningful one. How are you today, Tanya? You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Ooh, I'm so sorry about that. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's go again. So how are you today, Tanya?
I'm wonderful. I'm great. And I just want to say thanks for having me. And hello to everyone tuned in on Love 101 FM. So I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. All right, so now remember, listeners, viewers, we want to hear from you, our wonderful audience. We need you to tell us what kind of baggage are you holding on to? And what keeps you from letting it go? WhatsApp your text and voice notes. Make sure they're no longer than 30 seconds, please, to 876-997-3125. Watch us and comment live on the Love 101 Facebook and YouTube pages and channel, or call the studio lines if you want to go the old-fashioned way. So 968-8327 or 8 to participate. So the program will share your thoughts. What is meant when we say empty the freezer, get rid of the baggage? I so look forward to your comments, and comments always some wonderful participation by our wonderful audience. All right, so let's get right into it. Master's holder, I'll just go and speak it into being. All right.
Amen.
What exactly would you define the definition of baggage to be? And are there different types of baggage?
All right. So when we talk about baggage, there is everybody does basic idea. You can think of your knapsack if you're going to school. You can think of your briefcase if you're a business person. You can think of if you're flying, you can think of your suitcase or your carry-on piece. And by virtue of looking at it that simply, then you can say that your baggage can either be something that is very good that you want close to you, or your baggage could be something that's very heavy, very toxic, and you don't want to have it close to you. So the baggage can be, in this context, something positive or something negative. But when you talk about clearing your freezer, O'Neill, many of us know that we can have a good thing in the freezer, but it has stayed there a little too long.
I can think of a few things.
Yes, it's no longer edible. If you eat it, it's not going to be nice and juicy. Mm-hmm. And so it's time to just acknowledge the fact that I've made this piece of meat or this piece of cake stay in the fridge too long. And instead of having it and having indigestion, it's time to get rid of it. So some baggage can start out good, and then it becomes toxic, and it's time to get rid of it.
Talking about that sound like freezer burn that unlike is the wedding cake that can last. I don't you know what I need to do? Check how long a wedding cake can last in the freezer.
Well, I can't tell you because I had mine all too soon, right? So, but I know from some people it can stay pretty long because it has in ingredients that's going to cause it to stay long. But if you think about a chicken, a chicken or a piece of pork or any kind of meat goes into the freezer fresh.
Yes.
But if you don't use it up, because when you buy that piece of meat, it has a stamp on it that says best use by.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you make it stay too long, when you look at it, the very texture of it is changed. And if you still insist on having it, when you cook it, the taste of it, no matter how much seasoning you put on it, is gonna be different. And our life can be like that sometimes, that things come in and they serve us for a little while, but then as time goes on, it's not serving us any longer. There's no need to have it taking up space in the mind or in the home. So you've got to detox and get that out and allow something fresh to come in.
Got you. So what would you say are some different types of baggage, and what would cause the baggage?
There's negative baggage, and that is the broad sense, right? And this can come in through, when a child is born, we say they come like an empty slate, right? But through the various types of experiences, their interactions with their parents, interactions with their community, they can begin to learn negative things, negative emotions that can grow with them, particularly between the ages of, say, 0 to 10 to 12, right? Very crucial years. You almost spend the rest of your time in life getting rid of the baggage that we learned. A child should not be learning baggage in any case, but we are aware, if you live in Jamaica and some other parts of the world where there's violence, there's a propensity for violence in the community or in the home where mother and father or older persons don't speak to this child with love. So there's that toxic energy. There is the trauma baggage, maybe an accident or some violent attack or so. A relationship that one was really invested in that didn't go off well. Words, toxic words spoken, because remember that sticks and stones may break my bones, words may never hurt me, they say, but that's not true. You may forget about the stick and stone and never forget about the word.
Exactly.
So the exposure to toxicity and the freezer burn kind of things we're talking about comes predominantly through our experiences.
Cool. So basically you're speaking about some triggers that took place maybe at a younger stage, right? Depending on where that happens, because some persons might have different parts of their childhood, and then something happens that changes the trajectory of their situation.
Right.
So would you say there's a broad scope of things that can really cause baggage, or have you found that in your studies there have been a few things, let's say 3 major things that have been predominantly causing the baggage? Would you see it like that?
I would say yes. I think experiences are one that we can talk about in just very broad senses. Experiences, and these experiences can be, as I said, with something physical happening, words spoken, or an experience that one wanted to have or didn't have, right? So experience is something. You talk about a trigger. A trigger is going to be meaningful because you had an experience that the brain held on to, right? And then something comes along with a minor or major that becomes a trigger that keeps taking you back to that experience that the person was not healed from. Okay. Right? So triggers only have a power because the first experience or exposure was not properly dealt with, right? So it's very important for us to detox. And whenever it is that something, if somebody says something like, I'm overweight. And so if somebody says to me, Tanya, you're too fat. And if every time somebody says that to me, I get royally upset, then that is a trigger for me that is supposed to say, hey, you have a problem that is constantly causing you to be upset, because maybe the person who is highlighting my weight may not be doing it from a negative place. It could be genuine concern for me and my health and so on. But if I get upset every time, 0 to 10, I'm at the scale of 10. For everybody who comes, they are pushing my button every day. then it is saying to me that, Tanya, you have a problem that you need to work on and depower that trigger, so that when somebody comes along, whether they mean it in a hurtful way or not, you're in control.
Okay, because I was gonna say, initially you spoke about if the trigger is not intentional, but then I was gonna touch on the side of what if it is, because knowing our culture is everybody has a name based on their look. So maybe they might say Maga man,
Yes.
somebody then say, big man or whatever the case may be, and we have descriptions for pretty much everything, and no persons might laugh it off, as you said, others would internalize that, and it affects them going forward. So
Right.
I was checking on that side of the coin as well.
Even if it is something that triggers you and makes you get angry at a 10 from a scale of 0 to 10, it is even more showing that you're not in control of your emotions.
Okay.
And Jamaica currently has a crime problem, and we're told a lot of it has to do with persons who are against each other for some unresolved conflict, right? So whenever it is that something is making you so angry, that's an indication to you, not about the other person, but about yourself. Because even if somebody were to call me fat from a negative place, once I'm in control of my emotions and how I feel about myself, it's not going to escalate, because I'm not going to give the person that power and lose power for myself.
Okay, so I guess for some it's going to take a little bit more work to that's where you come in to help with negating those triggers, to neutralize those triggers.
Right.
I'm sure we're going to get into some more, but I mean, how again, just services, we're not going to dig into it later, but how is in terms of persons related, have you been able to help person neutralize those triggers? Because as I said, it can be some things are so touchy, and as I said, some things are ramped up to 10 while others not so much, and sometimes, as we like to say in Jamaica, we kind of touches, so some might be a little more sensitive and overly so, while others genuinely have been bombarded so much by things that the freezer burn has set in to a point where almost like you want to replace the ruin and cast it up, because it's almost no good. So there's a lot of repair there. So I mean,
well, the reason why you have this program on this evening is giving access to persons who don't hear about this in mainstream media every day. We talk about the violence, we talk about the anger issues and so on, but not necessarily talk about solutions and resolutions. So for me, this is a very important program, because each time that I get to talk to people at this level, I talk about the importance of counseling. I talk about this because it is so important. Sometimes people are toxic, they're angry, they're filled with negative emotions. They don't want to be that way, but they don't know the starting point. Like people say, boy, yes, I get angry easily. I saw me steer.
Right.
But when did it start? There's something that started it. And oftentimes persons don't necessarily have the skill to dig deep into when did this start. And for many of us as counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, and so on, we know that it's going to be important to dig into the past.
All right, so let me just go on that part again. Forgive me, or forgive us, for those who are from international platform or who don't understand what we're talking about from diaspora. So those who are Jamaican, Caribbean, I would assume, from other places, born and bred. No, in Jamaica, a lot of things. Person said, "Listen, man, I saw my born, man. I saw my stay. Me can't change. Mother stays, so everybody stays. I saw my stay. Me just cross. Get hungry easy, And we take that on as almost like a badge where we say, yeah, we're taking this. But what should I say? How important is it for persons to begin to recognize that this is not healthy? I mean, just on the surface level. I mean, mommy said them do it that way, the auntie, uncle, sister, brother. and realize how society is. I mean,
Right.
where do you step in again where that is concerned? Can I just even if you don't get into the breakdown, I'm talking
Right.
about one-on-one with someone, but just the identifiers, and even for us, let us say we don't have of course we don't have the expertise you do, but even in layman's terms, like you said, DIY. If we're gonna DIY to an extent, how do we now begin to say, say something not too right with that,
All right. So you mentioned something that is very important, and it is known in the Jamaican society where people often say, "As some stay." I say everybody in my family stay. We can't change.
Right.
And I'm here to say
Yeah,
that
you
is
can't change.
not
Right. That thing
true.
we can't change.
That
Yes.
is an incorrect notion. And let me tell persons who are listening why this is important. We often say sometimes in psychology and in psychiatry and so on that somebody has a problem, don't know they have a problem, but if enough persons make them aware of it and that the problem can be fixed, then they begin to open their ears. So when somebody says me can't change, if you accept it that they can't change and accept what they're saying, then change will not come. But if enough persons in their families or their friends or their community say, let's use your name, O'Neill, say, O'Neill, you get angry too easily. You're shouting at the top of your voice when you don't need to. You're hitting the children unnecessarily. You're beating your spouse when you're not supposed to. Something is drastically wrong. You need help. So if enough persons say this to O'Neill, then O'Neill, even if he doesn't admit it right
Right.
away,
Defensive.
right? I often say to people, you see, when your head hits your bed and your face is to the ceiling or to the bed, and your thoughts for the day start replaying, you're gonna start saying, I wonder if they're right. Right? So even with mental illness, nobody gets up and accept that, boy, maybe I'm having mental health issues. Is
Right.
enough persons have highlighted to them that something is going wrong, we think you need to take a look at it, that they start accepting slowly, yes, I may have a problem, let me get some professional help.
Okay. So we're gonna go to a break shortly. But what questions are we asking ourselves, or should we be asking ourselves? Is it me say me can't change, me not change? You can say what you want to say, and me just put up the walls, right? And as we say, as you as you said before, some stay and you can't change. But let us say someone is so far, hopefully not, but so far gone that even when their head hit the pillow, they're not thinking like the way you're suggesting they should think are in that space. But let us say there's hope. As you said, there's some level of hope, right?
There is.
What questions are they asking themselves? And yeah. Firstly, what questions should they be asking themselves to begin to identify and begin to break those walls down?
I think the other is very important. What are the frequent things that others are saying to me? If I'm married and I'm living with a spouse or I'm living with my significant other, are they saying, boy, you're just so loving and easy to talk to? Or are they saying, boy, I really think we need to get some help because when I say A, you take it as B. When I'm
You fight
calm,
against me.
yeah, fight against me. That's a classic one.
No,
Or
but you tell you fight against.
yeah, that's a classic one.
You want to come bring in Tanya in my space, but you have fight against me. Why you know rape me? You want to come bring in Tanya now to come talk to me and count me? No man,
That
I'm
is
not
a
broken. Nothing is wrong with
mentality.
me.
O'Neill, that is a mentality that until we get that change to occur, we're going to continue to have the problem because you can run away from a problem and say it doesn't exist when it is destroying everything around you. So when you talk about freezer burn, get rid of that. You talk about weeding out the stuff to make sure the flowers is constantly green because sometimes it gets brown and you have to go and extricate those things that are causing it not to be as green and lush and pretty. As listening, just reminding myself about some stuff, and negativity destroys so many cells in the body. Negative thoughts, you may have heard of Dr. Caroline Leaf, and she talked about the power of thoughts. Positive thoughts is like a green tree, right? Ready to bear some fruits. Negative thoughts is like a plant that is dried up by the sun and it's ready to be tossed in the garbage. Everybody has the power of choice, but if you choose to ignore what is in the freezer, what is toxic, what doesn't serve you anymore, what is destroying your relationships, then you do so at your own peril, but there's always hope, so no one has to destroy themselves.
All right. So I hope you all haven't forgotten to share what kind of baggage are you holding on to and what keeps you from letting it go. That's our social media request of you this evening. WhatsApp texts and voice notes, please, no longer than 30 seconds to 9973125. Please place 876 before that, of course. Watch us and comment live on our Love 101 Facebook and YouTube channels, or call the studio lines 876-968-8327 or 8328 to participate. Also, I'm encouraging you to friend us on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries. Follow us on Instagram at FLMJA and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries FLMJA. The numbers for the FLM head office are 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. Time is approximately 57 minutes past 5 or 3 minutes to the hour of 6, whichever way you choose. We're going to a quick break. Thank you so much, Tanya Paul Edwards. Hold on a bit as we go for a break, and we will be right back.
Planning to sit the May June CXC exams privately? Register with Overseas Examinations Commission before the late registration deadline, Friday, January 21. Visit our Kingston office or Montego Bay office to complete your application form, or send an email to help@overseasexams.org.jm. Follow our social media pages at Overseas Exams for more details. Remember, if you plan to sit the May June CXC exams privately, the late registration deadline is January 21.
I choose to start this year smiling with Colgate-Palmolive. By purchasing selected Colgate-Palmolive products at participating stores, receive premiums or samples. Promotion available from February 1st to March 17th. Go on, what are you waiting for? Start this year smiling with Colgate-Palmolive.
Inspirational stories and island flavored music will come your way this Testimony Tuesday inside Alive 1 to 5 January 18. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside the evidence. We hear from Ganesha Spencer, who will join us to share her testimony of deliverance from demon possession. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit with guidance counselor and pastor at the Church of God in Jamaica, Keturah Hazel Cross. All this and more will come your way. That Alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with me, Sarah Adler Chirpy One, on the family station, ranking number 4 on the extensive local radio landscape and number 1 in gospel, Love 101.
Do women find men more attractive with a fresh haircut or a properly groomed beard? Do men have a self-care regimen, or is grooming just not a man thing? We'll find out this Wednesday, January 19, inside the Mailbox, the program designed for men, hosted by men, with guests who are men, as we take a look at men's grooming and self-care. What are some must-dos and haves for men when it comes to grooming? And how can a man start his self-care regimen? So join us as we discuss this and more inside the new season of the Mailbox, this Wednesday, January 19 at 5:30 p.m. with hosts Kevin Bailey and Courtney Morrison. And it will be happening here on Love 101, the family station.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. You've caught us talking about what's in your freezer and why it's there and for how long, and how to make room for newer, fresher, and nicer. No, not really talking about food. No, some of us love our belly, right? But no, we're talking about emotions and concepts and feelings that we need to live our very best lives. We have with us Tanya Edwards, or to be more specific, Tanya Howell Edwards. I don't want her to fight me for leaving that out.
Never, never.
All right, but before we get into um, another part of the discussion, is there anything personally that you have on your heart that you wanted to share that you have experienced that maybe has brought you to this place that probably has gotten you to delving into this area of expertise, and has maybe there was something else you sought to do and now you diverted and say, hold on, this is what God's leading me to begin to heal some lives and change some lives. So if you could share that, that would be amazing.
Yes, definitely. A little bit of my testimony is that I grew up, had a nice childhood, but at a certain point in it, became affected by sexual abuse, and this happened in the context of the church. And you are aware, like many persons should be aware, that when somebody encounters this, it threatens the very fabric of their being. It threatens to destroy future relationships. Many persons who encounter what I encounter do not have successful marriages. They become overbearing parents because they're trying to protect their children. And we know that if we see about 5 females standing up in Jamaica, there is a assumption that at least 2 persons have encountered some form of abuse. And so it is a very predominant thing in our society.
Wow.
So as a teenager, I did not like, you're not gonna believe this, but it's true. As a teenager, I didn't like to see females happy.
Wow.
I didn't like to see teenagers smiling and just having a good time, because I was like, see you there looking happy, you don't have any idea what could befall you at any moment. So it was as if I was seeing their happiness with a level of envy, right? And I was basically casting on them the shadow of what had happened to me and saying, at any moment, this could happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
In my 20s, after I really started, I wouldn't want to say I drilled into my relationship with God. I want to say God started drilling into his relationship with me.
Wow, pursuing it.
Right. And he started saying things to me like, be careful of what you say in this kind of setting. Be careful of what you say how you speak to your husband. And so I began to learn about the power of the tongue. Right. And I remember this, I'm only going to share this once. I remember getting angry with somebody once and seeing myself as the problem and saying, boy, I wish I could just die and leave you all to be and whatever. Not even 5 minutes later, O'Neill, I slipped and fell and hit my bottom on the concrete. And it was a very hard hit. And it was as if something said to me, what if that was your head?
Mm-hmm.
You would have gotten what you spoke.
Wow.
And so for so many years of my life to this point, the messages from the Father is constantly coming about the power of the tongue. And so when he led me to study counseling, that kind of now started to open up, the mind, the thoughts in the mind. And even from the word of God, Romans chapter 12 tells us about being transformed by renewing our mind, because the mind is where a lot of the negativity is stored.
Yes.
And we begin to expect bad things to happen to us. And we speak negative against other people, because if you can't speak good for yourself, how are you going to want good for other people? And so the scripture tells us that we must love God, we must love ourselves, and then we can love others. So it's been quite a journey for me. And it is one in which I have said to myself that I don't think that I've fully learned the gamut of the importance of speaking positively. But I'll share one more with you because it came to mind. In a couple of years ago, a friend of mine, one I have tremendous respect for, called me and she said, Tanya, I was in prayer and the Lord said to tell you to stop saying you don't have any money. This is a very popular one for Jamaicans. sometimes I think when people see people, they want to make sure you don't ask them for anything. So let me say, boy, what you can do for me?
Right.
Right? Or not now go on for me.
Yeah.
And so the more we say these words, because word is life, right? Rastaman said, words sound power. The word of God says, in the beginning, God says, let there be, and there was. John 1 says, in the beginning was the word, and the word is God.
Yes.
And so the more you say, I don't have something, more it becomes your reality. So somebody may say, but if I don't have money and I say I don't have it, isn't that not the truth?
Right.
It's the truth for that moment, and it will continue to be the truth as long as you speak it. What about saying, I don't have enough right now? Or I'm expecting more to come? Why not call the positivity in?
Mm-hmm.
Why keep releasing lack?
Yes.
And I'll just share with you some of the toxic stuff. Anger can be taken to a toxic level.
Yes.
Anxiety can be immobilizing. It can be so great that people don't leave their houses or they're afraid to take chances. Envy can result in murder. And I've been to a prison where, you know, for the ministries and so on, where there are a lot of people in prison with regrets. We see the ones who still look flashy in prison, but that's not the reality of the total picture.
Right.
Many persons are there saying, if I had counted to 10, right? Fear can be very toxic and immobilizing as well. Shame and depression, we know depression, everybody gets depressed now and again, but if it lasts more than 2 weeks and it's going into months, it's something that you need to get looked at. Frustration, guilt, jealousy, all of these taken to the toxic level is going to harm you physically and make the potential to harm somebody else become more possible.
Wow, that's a whole that's packed with a lot.
Right. So I've been saved from those emotions because I've been listening to the Lord and gotten some training and understand the value of counseling.
All right. So you're not only working on the masters, but you're getting the book sorted out, right?
Yes, indeed.
yeah, I like that. The draw yesterday. Yeah, the draw yesterday. Yeah,
I actually have 2 books out. One is a book of poetry that I wrote a lot of poems when I was in that place.
Yes.
And then coming out of that place. So it's a book filled, you could see my journey in it.
Great.
And it's called Poems by Tanya, A Jamaican Girl Speak. It's available on Amazon. And then I have another one called The Power to Get Wealth, which is also available on Amazon. And that is talking about my wealth journey with God. And I'm working on some others, but can't talk about them yet.
That's it. They're coming. We love to take that Facebook comment at the moment. Go ahead, studio. Let me see if I can see that. All right. It says, Ralph Angel. Good night, family time. Happy New Year to you. Love team and everyone enjoy this family program, inspiration and informative. Love the topic throughout our life. We should empty our freezer for new beginnings and success. Life not only just empty the freezer, but putting something in that freezer, especially for this year. We got the program. Peace. Thank you for that comment, Ralph Angel. Appreciate that. So you share. So let me quickly do a bit of sharing as well. So one situation, well, as you know, for should I say, most of the time, many times for men, it's a lady on the other side, that right, because that would cause some. But I was in a situation that ended up being really challenging, to say the least, just to kind of make it kind of a brief and encapsulate it. But what I felt at the time within that context, short period as it was, I felt emotionally drained, I felt spiritually drained, I felt physically drained. It was just a lot of that weighing down on me. And it affected me greatly, because generally how I was, though it didn't work a number of times, but trying to be careful, because you want to go to a stage that whoever you are with, that's the person that you want to, for me, get married to.
Right.
And so when devastation hits you in that regard, you're in a place like I was like a zombie. Like, how do you recover from this? So it's like I was dazed. I was like out of it. And thank God for mighty man of God, Pastor Hilton Dunkley, who stepped in and really told me, because I was doing a lot of worship, leading worship, etc. And he just told me, listen, just focus on the Lord and do what He's called you to do. So I had to redirect my thoughts, now my focus, as opposed to being lost in that days and going through just emotions. And I haven't been there, thank God, but I'm sure there are some who were in that space and didn't have the right counsel, didn't have the right person to step in, and they have gone on paths that have been so negative, carrying that baggage and that weight, whether feeling guilty or whether feeling broken, whatever the case may be, or a combination of things, and leading down the wrong path. And so, thank goodness, thank God, more than goodness, thank God that the man of God stepped in and I was able to redirect now my focus and my attention to the Lord, and I was able to be back on the path that has brought me to this place today. So that was the baggage, and how I had to release that was through my worship, through kind of a Davidical approach, where even though he was going through all he went through, his focus was always on the Lord, and that kept him in his journey, kept him going forward, and allowed him to make the transition from shepherd boy, one who was challenged, one who was being chased, to one who was king, a leader, and one who was held in high repute. All right. So now
the beautiful thing about it, if I can chip in on it, is that both the Facebook comment and your comment are very instrumental, because both of them speak to putting something new into the space. So when you empty and you get rid of all the toxic energy that we've spoken about, you have to literally do the work of putting in something new. And you spoke about scripture and redirecting attention to the Lord. There may be persons who have not gotten to that place yet, and they're thinking, oh, okay, so this won't work for me because I'm not a Christian. What do we do? It's very important to know that whether you're a Christian or non-Christian, the work of changing your mind, the work of detoxifying and putting in new things is important for everybody. Now, one of the things you can do, we talk about scriptures, not just quoting scriptures as if they are just cliches, but literally, and it's very important whether you're Christian or non-Christian, because if you listen to the biggest motivational speaker out there, they can't do a half an hour or 45 minutes or even an hour without mentioning at least one scripture from the Bible.
Right, even if they don't say so intentionally to say it's Bible, they always try to it's a lot of it is grounded in the scripture for true.
Absolutely. So you, for example, you search the scriptures and you memorize. So what you want to do is for all the negative emotions, you want to rewrite that area of the brain that has been harboring the hurt and harboring the guilt and the thoughts of hurting somebody and so on. And you choose scriptures or motivational quotes that are opposite to what you're feeling. Right? And you begin to memorize them. And what you're doing is the active process of rewriting the script that is on the brain. So, for example, what can I use? One that says, somebody says, you're not come to nothing good. That's a lot of children hear that in Jamaica, you're not come to nothing good. But then the Bible says, I am fearfully and I'm wonderfully made. So maybe you need to find that scripture, and this is something that you begin to utter. You read it aloud in the morning. You may even go to the mirror and you look at yourself. You look at yourself and you look in your own eyes and you say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And this is not a homework that can only be done once. I was listening to Dr. Carolyn Leaf, who says this takes at least not 21 days, 63 days to rewrite. So you get up every morning and you process this. We are told that the multimillionaires, this is what they do. They start their mornings not with negativity, but with positive thoughts. If you don't use Bible, search for motivational quotes. Don't just speak them, write them down, take them with you, put them on your phone, put them in your mirror on your mirror in the bathroom. So wherever you go, you are seeing something positive and you're rewriting your brain slowly but surely, and it can be done. So work has to be done to move from toxicity to a place of freedom. Wow.
That's definitely some ways to to make the transition now from the freezer burnt and the things that need to be discarded, and transitioning now to a place of replacing the negative with positive. Before we go to the final segment, anything else in that space regarding the freeze and replacing? Anything else, practical solutions that you could give to anyone else that comes to mind?
Another important one is belief. If you don't believe that things can change, things won't change. So oftentimes the reason why we encourage persons to speak is because the more you speak to yourself and the situation, the more you believe. Because a lot of people in Jamaica, when you just have a conversation with them, maybe your first 1 or 2 conversations, they don't believe that change can happen. So that is the power of the tongue, is not just about speaking negative to people and saying I can't, but it's saying I can. And so not only do you use your mouth, but you have to use your mind, and you have to believe. And it's a lot of times, O'Neill, I say to people that change starts with very simple but very important concepts. Oftentimes, just like the Jews were looking for Jesus to come down from the sky, but he came a different way, but he was still very effective. Right? So belief is very important. Writing. I don't know if you need to take a break, but writing is another very important concept.
Yes, it definitely is. No, you can go ahead and mention that. Quickly.
Right. So why is it that when we were in primary school and you didn't do your homework, the teacher would say you have 50 lines or 150 lines. I must do my homework. I must do my homework. And you never ever forget that. You know what I mean? Because the process of writing was so important. So another simple but powerful way to create change is to write. And sometimes I give an assignment that I'll share. What if the person that you're working with, all that they have been programmed for is negative? I can't, I don't deserve, this good thing never happened to me. You know, that sounds good for you, but that can never happen. I just know about the bad things.
Right.
I usually say to them, all right, write the list of bad that you expect. Since that's what you're familiar with, write it down, make a list of it. Have you finished writing your list? Okay. Now you're going to write the opposite of the list. I'm always broke. I'm wealthy. I'm always sick. I'm healthy. I'm always feeling pain. I am pain-free.
Yes.
I'm always in quarrel with my neighbors. Today is a peaceful day.
Right.
I'm no longer in contention with my neighbors. Right? I always expect the bad things to happen to me. Today, I'm expecting the best things to happen to me. So what we have now is a list of the negative and a list of the positive. And I usually say to them, now you are going to cut this paper in two. And you're going to read the negatives one last time. And after you finish it, you're going to have a funeral. And you're going to bid them forever goodbye.
Yes.
But the list that remains is the list that you have written, that you must speak, that you must believe, and you must keep it in a place that where it will not be hidden from you, but you will see it every day. And it is important to remember in all of this the power of forgiveness, because I've encountered persons who their big problem is the inability to forgive.
Hold that thought. All right, you get in. Why wait until later to get into the juice? Just kidding.
Well, if you start addressing the other things, the forgiveness.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding, because it's just really engaging and some great information. So we're gonna take a quick break. You'll be listening to and watching Family Time on Love 101, YouTube and Facebook. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back with some more information from Tanya Paul Edwards.
I've got love in my heart and
Inspirational stories and island flavored music will come your way this Testimony Tuesday inside Alive 1 to 5 January 18. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside the evidence. We hear from Ganesha Spencer, who will join us to share her testimony of deliverance from demon possession. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit with guidance counselor and pastor at the Church of God in Jamaica, Keturah Hazel Cross. All this and more will come your way. Got Alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with me, Sarah and the Chirpy One, on the family station, ranking number 4 on the extensive local radio landscape and number 1 in gospel, Love 101.
Do women find the men more attractive with a fresh haircut or a properly groomed beard? Do men have a self-care regimen, or is grooming just not a man thing? We'll find out this Wednesday, January 19, inside the Mailbox, the program designed for men, hosted by men, with guests who are men, as we take a look at men's grooming and self-care. What are some must-dos and haves for men when it comes to grooming? And how can a man start his self-care regimen? So join us as we discuss this and more inside the new season of the Mailbox, this Wednesday, January 19 at 5:30 p.m. with hosts Kevin Bailey and Courtney Morrison. And it will be happening here on Love 101, the family station.
Welcome back to Family Time. We're fast approaching the end and we're really getting engaged. We're on the last leg and we're it's almost like we're in overdrive now with Tanya Powell Edwards. And this is just an engaging conversation, to say the very least. All right, so let's quickly touch the what you were talking about regarding forgiveness. Or I suppose baggage involves some level of forgiveness. How do we deal with that? And then we do some tips, some steps to get them over the line into their best self, right?
Right. Well, the first thing that I need to just say to you is, if I take you back to that moment you spoke about when somebody broke your heart and how discombobulating that felt, and you felt as if you were numb because you actually lost something that you didn't see how you could recover.
Right.
No, had you not gotten help in that situation from a man of God, imagine how you would take that baggage and that hurt into a new relationship with a new person who didn't hurt you, but you would take that into that and damage that relationship.
Right.
This is what unforgiveness does. It causes us to hate people that we don't even know. We just see somebody and they remind us of somebody else and we don't give them a chance. We hate them right away.
Mm-hmm.
Then we may say that we fall in love. But then, because we're so used to toxicity, we're used to somebody hitting us, speaking poorly to us, using us, abusing us. Then, because we have not dealt with those emotions, when you go into something new, there are people who say, I can't deal with this relationship because it's too good. It seems false. This is
something right. It's too good.
Yes. All this time, this person is damaging themselves more because they have not taken the time to say what they're truly worthy of. So also, people take unforgiveness into a marriage, right? And when they get into that marriage, the thing begins to disintegrate because the person took so much hate, so much pain, so much jealousy, so much discomfort into it. This new relationship does not have a chance. One of the things I say, and some people have never allowed themselves to do this, is the time of healing. And if it's a relationship, I usually say take at least a year to be out of a relationship, to give yourself time to get in tune with you.
Not too long.
That's what people tell me. But guess what? In 6 months' time, they're back again saying, help.
Wow.
Help me.
Yes.
Right? Because they never allow themselves to pass the infatuation stage where you're not dealing with the problem.
Yes.
everything, the facade of love is there. And then after that, when they've gone in too deep, they start seeing the stuff or seeing that they don't like this person. And then you've invested so much already.
Okay.
So the issue of forgiveness is
before you continue. If there anyone who's sending any messages, let me know. So please send in the messages quickly. We can take them before we wrap, because we're fast approaching the end, but it's an engaging program. Oh, here's one. All right, Debbie Ann Johnson says, pleasant good night, everyone. One says night, they're in some late place, right? I love the program as well. I have family members who suffer with mental health problems, my one and only sister and my nephew as well, and it's very hard. But God, I get counseling at times. My daughter is very angry at times, myself as well. I think I need counseling myself as well as my daughter. Emotions run very high. Bless you. All right, so Debian, here's a perfect opportunity. On a serious note, to get plugged in and connected to Tanya Powell Edwards. Reach out to her, and she will see how best she can, with the help of the Lord, to get you to the place you need to be, your child as well, and whoever else is in your family that needs the assistance. So thank you for reaching out. That's, I think, the first step. You're at least reaching out and taking that step.
Right. I also love to just say to persons, if you go to a church, find out if they have trained guidance counselors there, because many churches do. Family Time Ministry is also an excellent place. I went there when I was training to become a counselor, because counselors have to be counseled before they can become counselors too. So just make sure that the person you're reaching out to is somebody that has training, because you want that independent, skilled, and trained ear to help you through the process.
All right. So we're quickly a benefit of just getting rid of the baggage, and important getting the baggage tied into about a minute. If you can.
It frees you up. It frees you to learn the truth of who you are. Because a lot of us, the true self, the joy of the Lord that is in us is being hidden by toxicity. So when you clean it out, you can look in there, you can know the length and the breadth, and then you can decide, what do I want to put back into it, and how long do I want these things to stay in the refrigerator?
Tanya Powell Edwards, it was an absolute pleasure having you. A radiant smile is certainly going to help a lot of lives as well to break the ice. Blessings to you, and thanks for so much information in such a short time. Appreciate you so much. I will definitely keep in touch. So thanks to everyone who has joined us. Thanks for being here with us, everyone. If you have questions of a personal nature or are concerned about a friend or family member, call us at Family Life Ministries. For our center in Portmore at 117 Cecile Avenue, call 876-939-7917. For more information on our services or for our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island, contact our head office at 920-1034, 926-8101. Note that appointments can only be made by calling the offices. Otherwise, to keep up to date with what's happening, FLM and our programs, find us on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries, on Instagram at FLMJA, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries, FLMJA. Before we leave you, here is this evening's scripture verse. Isaiah 43 and verse 18 says, forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. Very, very important. Join us again next week at 5:30 p.m. on Love 101 FM, Facebook and YouTube Live via the Love 101 Facebook page and Love 101 YouTube channels for another informative program. Thanks again for our very special guest, Tanya Powell Edwards. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gale, Open Door Communications, studio facilitator, Timoy Butler, and of course, your boy O'Neill Campbell. Stay well, stay blessed, stay safe. See you next time, same place, right here on Love 101, Family Life Ministries. Take care. God bless.